Hey guys, Winchester Model 250 lever action. Let's see if I can get that in. Winchester Model 250, made in New Haven, Connecticut, USA. These were made from 1963 until 1973, and it's typical of the 60s and 70s American 22s. It's got an aluminium or aluminum receiver, kind of round back lever action like a Winchester 88, kind of stained painted stock, pressed checkering, and it's not cut, so it's not diamonds facing out, it's diamonds facing in, and white line uh, spacer. So what this has come in for, the owner wants this gun. He got this from his grandfather. He grew up with it with his grandfather, shooting it with his grandfather. He wants it cleaned up, wants the stock cleaned up, wants it to look as good as possible. That cleaned up, he wants me to clean the front end up and give it an oil finish, cook the metalwork off, and maybe blue it, but I do not think it's going to be necessary. I'm going to cook it off, and then we're going to assess it and decide whether he wants it blued. I don't think it's going to be necessary. There's a ton of so-called patina there that will turn beautifully black. The receiver, he wants me to just clean that, and again we'll assess, and maybe it will be cerakoted, but I think not. I think it will clean up and looking good. And I mean, the idea is not to get the gun to look new. The gun can only be new once, and this one's had its turn. And clean the bolt up, clean the wood up, and I don't think it's bad. There's a bit of a spot there that I can do nothing about. That I'll be able to sand out, and the wood is overhanging the spacer and the butt plate, so that will be able to blend in nicely with that. Taking the 250 apart, I got to get that pin holds the lever assembly in. Yeah, there's the lever assembly, hammer, bolt, rides in that cam. I'll clean this up and figure out how it goes. It actually looks like the lever rotates on the safety button. The safety button is also the pivot point for the lever. Interesting. Got the butt plate off. It's got like a funny moldy whiteness on it. I don't know what that is. It's at the bottom. I'll clean that up. Stock comes on with that very long bolt. And I had to make a plan with a half-inch tube socket, and then one of these adapters to get onto the to get in there. Okay, so this is how it comes apart. This sight plate, or this plate over the action, that's held in by the sight. So you drift the sight off left to right. This plate just lifts off. After you've obviously taken out the little elevator, and that just lifts off. The mag tube is held in by that pin over there, and you knock that out. So left to right, pull the tube out, it sits in that way. So it interacts on that half moon over there. The tube comes out, and then the front stock just pulls straight down off the rifle, and it's inletted there with a hole and the tube goes through that hole, and it's got this nylon or plastic insert where the tube goes through. So the tube holds the front stock on, and this kind of locates it so it doesn't slide forward and backwards. Quite clever. And then the barrel comes on with a castle nut as a lock nut, and I'm assuming it screws into the receiver. I'm not going to be taking that off. I'm going to cook it as one. And that's a little bolt out of that 250. And the way that works is when you've closed the lever completely, the lever on the cam, or the lever on that cam, right in the closed position, right when you got it, when you got the gun completely in battery, that lever will interact in that cam. When you got the bolt in battery right there, it will push that tab up. So there's battery right there, and that's the lockup. So that locks into the back of the receiver. As soon as you work the lever, it will pull that outer battery down. So it's in that position. Then it will pull that down on the cam to there, and then pull it back all the way to the back, and then forward push it in, and then get it back into battery. The bolt, interestingly, so that's the extractor that pulls the empty case out. This is the firing pin, so it's hammer fired, and there's the hammer over there. I'll pull the trigger, there's the hammer. So it hits the firing pin over there, and it's rimfire, so there's the firing pin right there. So it strikes it hits the rim of the case with that little lip. Then when you cycle the gun back all the way back, this runs into the back of the receiver. That's pulling the case out, and then that runs into the back of the receiver, punches forward, and then the firing pin becomes the ejector. Then kicks the case out that way. Now with the bolt all clean, you can see a line through there, something I've never seen before. The bolt is in two. There's a joint even on the bolt face. Right there's a line. So there's two halves come together to make the bolt. Held together by that roll pin, and there's another pin over there. Never ever seen a bolt that's made in two pieces. Can probably only work on a 22. Got the stock sanded. Got the white line spacers all nice and shiny again. Got the step out. There was a step there. There's a big gouge out there. Got all the stain off it, and took the stain out there with acetone, and same there, took that out with acetone, and sanded to 320. And now for the walnut stain and the oiling, there is a slight difference in color. I'm sure the walnut stain will sort that out. Walnut stains on, ready to get the first coats of finish. I think it came out nice. Actually, the two pieces of wood are blending in nicely. Okay, reassembling the Winchester 250. We got this little plate, and that plate sits over there. It sits over there, and it is locked in by the stock bolt. So the stock bolt rides on either side of those two little raised areas through there, and that's what holds the plate in. And the reason for that plate is really when the bolt comes back, when you cycle the bolt and it comes back, you have the tail of the firing pin runs into the back of the receiver. It to act as the ejector, and that plate is just there to strengthen the aluminum receiver. Otherwise, you'll have that running into the aluminum and eventually wearing it out. So that plate needs to go on there. Stock. And then we got this long bolt that goes in from the back. Got the plate in, got the that screw in, and that just holds that plate in as a reinforcement. And then got the butt plate back on. Next, we reassemble the bolt. It's got a little hole there, little pin over there, and it slots in there, and that is the locking lug, and it rides on the lever assembly there, and then that whole thing goes back into the bolt. You got a locating pin on the front there, and that rides in that hole over there. Okay, get the lever partly down, hold the bolt and the lever together. Get that pin in there. Swing the whole thing up while pushing forward. Okay, got that in. And then the retaining pin is just a plastic pin. Goes in there. Next up, get that plastic sleeve into that dovetail. That front stock slides into that there, like that, and then the magazine tube. It's got those two lips, and it slides in from the front. Mag tube slides in all the way flush, and then we got that little pin. It's got a serrated side, so obviously the smooth side goes in first. I like to put it in from right to left. There you go, even on both sides. Mag tube goes in like any other 22. And now for the rear sight. So the rear sight, you got this plate that goes over the action to cover up the barrel nut, and then we got the rear sight that slides in through there to try to keep that keeps the plate in. So I'll put the elevator in afterwards. Got the rear sight in. The rear sight holds in that plate. Now just the little elevator. There you go, guys, all done. Got it all completed. So what I did was I stripped the finish off the stock. It had like a funny green color to it. Sanded that down. Got rid of the step that it had between the white line and the stock and the butt plate. There's a big gouge over there. There's a little bit of it left there, which I didn't want to try and sand out because I would have created a hollow there. The stock, other than that, came out beautifully. There's a was a gash there, which is also there forever. Stock looks good, and the fore end also looks very nice. I cooked off the metalwork, so I got all that so-called patina off the barrel and off the magazine tube. Just cooked it, and the action is aluminium. I just gave that a light buff with some ballistol and 4-rod steel wool. Also cooked off the scope rings because they were so rusty, and cooked all of that off just so that it looks good. I think the customer's going to be happy. Hope you guys enjoyed that and found that interesting. Stay safe. We talk again. Cheers.